The day I found out I was pregnant, I also learned that I was the heroine of a dead woman literature story. I went home and asked for a divorce. He laughed in disbelief. Laura, what about the baby? I gently touched my lower abdomen. It's only 6 weeks. The procedure is very easy. How can you be so heartless? Precisely because I'm not heartless. That's why I do not want him to be born. He would be a boy named Lucas. Well-behaved, beautiful, smart, and filial. But if I continue this marriage, it will only lead to my death and being betrayed. Why should I trade my life for Elias' regret for his love? I returned home only after being drenched in the rain until late at night. Water dripped from my whole body onto the floor. Hearing the sound, Elias hurried over and thoughtfully put a blanket around me. Sorry, the doctor just called me. He said you are pregnant. Laura, I did not mean to leave you on the bridge. But that funding meeting was extremely important. I could not be distracted. I was vomiting from pregnancy in the car and interrupted Elias' important online financing meeting. So he left me on an overpass in the stormy night, and this was not the first time. For work, he had abandoned me even when I was doubled over in pain at the But this time I was not sad at all. He asked again with concern, are you still cold? I looked up at him. Cold, of course cold. The early spring rain carried a bone-deep chill that pried open the cracks between my bones, a kind of cold that hurt straight to the heart. I was forcing myself not to shiver. Elias continued, you should have told me earlier that you were pregnant. Then I would not have. What a way to shift the blame. Elias, you were the one on the phone the whole time signaling me not to make noise. He touched his nose awkwardly and changed the subject. Laura, the financing I just discussed succeeded. Changfeng is getting its first round of funding, so leaving me on an overpass in the pouring rain was justified and worth it. Expressionless, I pulled the blanket tighter and looked at him. Elias, let's get a divorce. Elias paused as if hearing a joke. He laughed incredulously. Lara, do not joke around. Of course he did not believe it. I loved him for 6 years and married him just because he said let's give it a try. He sighed helplessly. Lara, what about the baby? I gently touched my belly. It's only 6 weeks. The procedure is easy. He immediately frowned and blamed me. Lara, how can you be so heartless? I said you were heartless first. You left your pregnant wife on a bridge in the pouring rain. He grabbed my hand and argued, I told you I did not know. That meeting was really important. I spoke softly but calmly. What does your bright future have to do with me? In the future, when he earns lots of money, he will only say when I do not meet his expectations. Lara, I work so hard outside making money. Why cannot you be better? Elias stared at me in disbelief. I had never spoken so sharply to him. I turned my head and continued walking toward the bedroom. The truth is I am not heartless. That is exactly why I do not want the child to be born. He would be a boy named Lucas. Well-behaved, beautiful, smart, and filial. An angel who would love me most in this world. But I am the heroine of a dead woman literature story. Continuing this marriage will only guarantee my death and betrayal. Today, when I fell asleep in the car, I finally realized I am the heroine of a dead woman narrative. I had secretly loved Elias for 6 years, and I thought that after marriage and pregnancy happiness would finally arrive. But what followed was more than a decade of disappointment. During pregnancy, I suffered from severe vomiting and was hospitalized long-term. After a massive hemorrhage during childbirth and serious reproductive injuries, I resigned from my university job and became a full-time housewife. From then on, as a wife, I was merely one phase of his life. Other than devoting everything to support his career and maintaining his daily life, to build the image of a perfect family man for him, I had no other purpose. Year after year, I watched him soar to success. I watched him grow increasingly repulsed by me. I watched him fall in love with someone else. When Elias held a celebration banquet for his company IPO, he wrapped his arm around the woman he loved and raised a toast, as if they were the ones who had shared a marriage of more than 10 years. And when he saw me standing in the corner of the banquet hall, the smile on his lips froze, his eyes filled with shock and annoyance. Lara, you came like this. Flustered, I tucked the loose strands of hair behind my ear, and the jade bracelet that once fit slid down to my elbow. That night I was hit by a truck and killed. It was also my 40th birthday. No gifts, no blessings, only death. Dying that way was excruciating. My shattered bones were glued together with blood and flesh creaking loudly. My abdominal cavity burst open, blood sprayed everywhere. The pain numbed and shook my entire body. The taste of rusty blood filled my throat, choking my airway. I suffocated to death. Elias, who had always been indifferent, went mad. He held my body tightly through the white cloth. His voice broke beside my ear, shouting, she is not dead, she is just asleep. Someone said, Mr. Elias, Miss Lara has passed away. Please cooperate with our procedures so Miss Lara may be cremated and rest in peace. No one is allowed allowed to touch Lara. His arms tightened around me, the already fractured bones rubbed together with soft grinding sounds. The white cloth covering my face grew damp with warm tears seeping through. Lara, please open your eyes, okay? For so many years Elias had always been distant, detached. I had never seen him this gentle, this heartbroken, this terrified. Elias let out a soft, fragile laugh. I should have told you the truth. The dress you wore that night looked beautiful on you. Even though he had always complained I dressed too plainly, that my figure was too thin. A sudden wail rose from deep in his throat. Lara, you left me behind. What am I supposed to do? I will go with you, okay? In that instant a spray of bright red blood splattered across the white cloth, covering my face. The crowd burst into screams. Call an ambulance, hurry. Mr. Elias slit his wrists. When I opened my eyes again, the pain of death made me vomit all over the car, and Elias threw me out of it. Lara, it was my fault. That meeting was too important, I really could not be interrupted. Elias wearily took off his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. But could you not say something so harsh? Even when apologizing, Elias' tone was always lofty. He cast a helpless glance at me. The doctor said getting rained on a bit in early pregnancy is fine. Do not be petty, okay? I looked at him calmly and indifferently. No longer like before when even my gaze placed him high upon a pedestal. That torrential rain extinguished the last of my blind devotion to Elias. Even if his hair and beard were perfectly trimmed now, even if he wore a tailored Loro Piana cashmere sweater looking as impeccable as a glossy magazine rising star, even if his startup was about to secure tens of millions in funding, even if he spoke gracefully and was undeniably capable, none of it held any charm anymore. Seeing that I seemed genuinely upset, he began coaxing gently. Lara, I closed this round of financing. You will be the future wife of a listed company CEO. We can move into a villa downtown later. Elias leaned down and brushed aside the wet strands near my ear, his soft voice leaving no room for refusal. Go take a hot shower. You will not overthink things afterward. He knew exactly how to control me. I love you, Lara. In the past, as long as he bestowed that one sentence, love you, I would gladly swallow all my suffering like it was sweet. After all, in this dead woman narrative, Lara purpose in life was simply to be loved. Before 22, Lara lived to be loved by her mother. After 22, Lara lived to be loved by Elias. And after death she finally gained their regret and their deep aching love. I relaxed my furrowed brow and smiled faintly. Seeing this, Elias kissed my earlobe with satisfaction. Lara, you are always the good girl. I turned my face away and walked off. Not obedient, just amused by how absurd it all was. That is why I smiled. So Lara lived only so she could be loved after she died. I refused to accept that. I vomited again this morning, retching until my face was covered in tears and mucus. The overwhelming pain and nausea clawing through my body left me lying on the floor for half an hour before I could support myself against the wall and get out. I grabbed toast and a Snickers bar and shoved them into my mouth. If I did not eat something soon, I felt like I might pass out. Elias came out of the study pushing his carry-on suitcase. His straight nose, deep set features, and perfectly trimmed hair and beard were impeccable. He wore a light khaki linen suit, though the fabric wrinkles easily. I had spent yesterday morning steaming it until it was crisp and sharp. Next to him, my wrinkled full-set loungewear looked utterly shabby. While fastening his watch, he instructed casually. Lara, the equity transfer agreement and the property mortgage agreement I asked you to sign earlier, my secretary will come collect them today. As if the torrential rain and the divorce last night had never happened. Elias always chose to sweep unfavorable things under the carpet. He bent down and took the chocolate from my hand. His tone helpless. Lara, you are not like Angelica with big features. Gaining weight will not look good on you. In early pregnancy, do not indulge in things like this. You need to be responsible for yourself. Responsible. I had not had a proper meal in 3 days. The pregnancy symptoms had hit too fast. I had been vomiting bile for 3 days straight. Before yesterday checkup, I even thought it was gastritis. My body was extremely weak. I whispered faintly. Elias, really, let's get a divorce. Elias frowned. Lara, are you really divorcing me over something as small as getting caught in the rain last night? Then he gently brushed the loose strands beside my ear, smiling brightly. Be good. After I finish this trip to Rome City, I will definitely spend time with you when I come back, okay? Spending time with me, what a grand favor. But I truly did not have the strength to argue with him. Elias picked up the throat lozenges I had bought specially for him and headed out. Your best friend Angelica throat is uncomfortable. Watching him leave so eagerly, I hurried to stuff down 3 pieces of toast. The pain in my stomach twisted terribly, but as the food slid from my esophagus into my stomach, my body felt a raw, simple, brutal happiness and fullness. It was so satisfying I wanted to cry. And I really did cry. I had not felt full in so long. Right then a message from Monica arrived. Elias just told me you are making trouble about divorce. Are you acting out just because you are pregnant? Is your brain foggy? And in early pregnancy you must watch your diet. Do not get fat like a pig, okay? Elias was very good at using resources. For example, using Monica to control me. I did not cower. I replied, got it, mom. Then I shut off my phone. and picked up another slice of toast. With my easy-to-gain-weight body, the only way I ever met their beautiful standards was by being chronically hungry. From the corner of my eye, I saw my pale thin wrist, the jade bracelet glimmering as it shifted. At 40, because of years of undereating and depression, I had become so thin that the bracelet nearly reached my upper arm. Even driving had felt strenuous in the end. I lost control and was killed in the crash. I do not want to be miserable and frail. I want to be healthy. I want strength. I refuse to waste my entire life on a love that has already rotted. By the time I finished eating, the toast tasted salty. After eating to fullness, I vomited most of it out again. Weakly leaning against the sofa, I flipped through the equity transfer agreement. Before we got together, I invested $600,000 in the newly founded Chungfeng, owning 20% of the shares. And the agreement was to transfer exactly that portion. When I saw that the transfer price was 1 yuan along with my signature written without even a hint of hesitation, I slowly covered my face and let out a soft breathy laugh. When you stop being foolish, everything around you becomes worth examining. I had thought Elias was different. 6 years ago, after meeting him, in my eyes he had always been confident, rational, capable, and upright. Back then, after failing the civil service exam in my senior year, my best friend Angelica introduced me to a state-owned enterprise to work as outsourced staff temporarily. Elias was my supervisor. He never held back on praising me, and he never judged me. He would stop others from assigning me work outside my duties, and when exam season came, he always let me get off work on time. He was also the second person to defend me in front of my mother, Monica. In my first year of work, after failing the exam again, Monica came to the company demanding that I quit my job and go home to study full-time. She harshly criticized me for being useless, idle, unmotivated. She forcefully dragged me to HR, insisting they process my resignation immediately. Elias stepped in front of me and said politely, "Ma'am, Laura is a member of my team. Even if she resigns, she has to go through the proper procedures. What you are doing causes losses to our company. We are fully entitled to sue you. Please leave, otherwise I will call security." Monica was always excessive, but she was also excellent, flamboyant, and sharp-edged. Not being helped was my normal state. I followed Elias, nervously apologizing repeatedly. His calm eyes held no judgment or reproach. He simply smiled and said, "It is okay, Laura." In front of him, I did not need to explain myself. I did not need to prove my worth. For some reason, it made me feel relieved and unburdened. At 25, I finally secured a position at Jiang University, and Elias, after being squeezed out and laid off, was preparing to start a business. When I resigned, I mustered my courage and said, "Elias, I heard your phone call in the stairwell. If you are still short of $600,000 for the startup, I can give it to you." Elias froze slightly, looking a bit uncomfortable. I thought he must not like me. I quickly waved my hands and smiled. "It is not for free. Think of it as an investment, okay? I will not have time for side jobs once I start at Jiang University, and I believe in your ability." He relaxed and smiled, quickly taking my hand. "Thank you, Laura. I really need this money. From now on, you will get dividends from every profit Chungfeng makes." I laughed and pulled my hand back, turning my face away so he would not see me blushing. It stung a little. He did not love me, but I also felt relieved. He was upright and proper. He did not freeload on my feelings. He did not push his boundaries. But the Elias of today was no different from Monica, judging me, criticizing me, draining me dry. I flipped open the property mortgage contract. The mortgage was to add more investment into Chungfeng. This past year, he had poured almost all his funds into the company, while my salary kept the household running. But the property was something we bought together, something we paid the mortgage for together. If I did not already know the ending, I would have transferred my shares for free, mortgaged our joint property, and then given up my job due to childbirth injuries. And in every future argument or moment of dissatisfaction, Elias would say in that lukewarm, cutting tone, "Laura, look at this life. I gave you all of this. What more do you want?" Outside, the red kapok flowers were blooming at their fullest. It was only now that I realized the cruelty this novel inflicted upon Laura. Being loved was the curse that dictated Laura's entire life. From beginning to end, Laura never needed love, she needed the right to choose. With Monica, Laura lost the right to choose her life, education, and work for more than 20 years. With Elias, Laura had no choice for the next 20 years except wife. For the false glory of love, Laura handed over her rights, her resources, her wealth. She exiled herself into a position of weakness, begging for their affection, only to end up with nothing but cheap remorse after death. Seeing the final signature, the bold soaring strokes of Elias' name, a quiet, delicate ache spread in my chest. I took several deep breaths, then, with hands so weak they trembled, I slowly tore the agreement apart, page by page, into dust. After scheduling the day's surgery at the hospital, the secretary never showed up, but Elias' business partner Oliver did. He was not wearing wearing a suit today, only a washed blue denim shirt. Unlike Elias' sharp features, Oliver were gentle. His skin was fair and dimples appeared at the corners of his cheeks. He looked scholarly, almost soft. Back then Oliver had been Elias' most capable subordinate, the one Elias pulled in to start the company together. "You are here for the agreement?" I asked. Oliver shook his head with a smile. "Laura, I am here to dissolve the partnership with Elias." Not surprising. Elias was forceful and ruthless in business. But Oliver was not as gentle as he appeared either. Changfeng's biggest competitor in the future would be Ruiyu, the company Oliver founded. Oliver smiled. "I came to say goodbye. After all, we worked together for 3 years." I smiled faintly, even my nod was small. His gaze fell softly on me like a winter fireplace, warm and comforting. "Lara, you look much thinner. Your complexion is not good." Leaning weakly against the sofa, I asked, "Do you want the shares I hold? I can transfer 15% to you." He froze. "Elias said you already transferred all your shares to him." Then he let out a bitter smile. "That is why I have no choice but to leave." I glanced at the torn pieces in the trash. "You mean that yuan transfer agreement?" I was too weak. My cold laugh was nothing but a breath. "Do you think I am really that stupid?" Oliver did not deny it. His eyes were full of gentle sorrow. An outsider could see my foolishness clearly. I had thought Elias' willingness to marry me meant there was at least some love. I was wrong. He married me only because there was no one else in the world as stupid as Lara. The ache in my chest still hurt all the same. I asked again, "Do you want the shares? That way you will not be kicked out. Instead, you kick Elias out." For someone like Elias, an orphan, nothing mattered more than wealth and status. I wanted to see whether without money and power the male lead of this dead woman narrative would still have any charm left. After speaking with the lawyer about the details of the divorce, I sent Elias a text message. "Let us get a divorce." Elias did not reply even by dawn. Not surprising. To him my messages could be answered days later or not at all. Early in the morning I went to the unfamiliar hospital I had contacted and completed the admission process. If the vomiting continued, I would faint and be hospitalized anyway, unable to take care of myself. And the subsequent childbirth would cause massive hemorrhaging, costing me half my life. Today was the examination. Tomorrow would be the surgery. At 6 or 7 weeks the procedure was simple and the damage minimal. I completed all the pre-operative tests step by step. Wearing the faded, overwashed hospital gown, I sat on the bed waiting for the hospital meal. On the bed beside mine, the family of the other patient opened a steaming pot of slow-cooked soup. I did not feel uncomfortable. It was not the first time I had been hospitalized alone. Elias had once abandoned me in the for a client. Thankfully, the nurse discovered in time that my corpus luteum had ruptured and I was rushed into surgery. When I woke up afterward, the pain was so intense that tears streamed down my face on the hospital bed. Elias arrived just then and sighed impatiently. "Lara, the surgery was a success. Stop crying." But I truly thought I was going to die. I lifted my gaze toward the window. Twilight was just fading. The spring sunset was serene and gentle. The indigo sky blended softly with hues of orange-red, spreading layer by layer toward the horizon until a bright clear moon emerged. I saw little Lucas holding my veiny hand. A child palm is always warm and a little damp. He smiled, dimples deepening. "Look, the moon looks like mommy, so bright and pretty." Then with his soft little hand he wiped away my tears, anxious and earnest. "Do not cry, do not cry. Daddy does not have time, but I have time. I can stay with you. Mommy, I love you. Mommy, wait for me to grow up." My vision blurred. Lucas was such a good boy, but I was not going to have him. I lowered my head and covered my eyes, sobbing softly. Tears streamed down endlessly, dampening the pale hospital gown. Only when the night breeze drifted in through the window, ruffling my hair and drying my tears, did I finally lift my head. Against the deep black sky hung a dim yellow moon. It stabbed at my heart until it bled. I suppressed the trembling of my throat and exhaled long and steadily. "I am sorry. I am sorry. I want to live the rest of my life for myself." The morning before the surgery, Elias called me. Hearing his voice made my chest tighten painfully. I could not tell whether it was the novel grip on me or remnants of love. "Lara, that agreement is really urgent. Do not throw a tantrum, okay? Send it over today." "Yeah." Because of the pre-surgery fasting and pregnancy nausea, I was too weak to speak. Hearing my silence, he added a casual note of concern. "How are you doing with the pregnancy? The doctor said you have not been there lately. Remember to go. Once I finish things on my end, I will come back and spend more time with you." I answered with a faint and hung up. My vision blurred. Fortunately, the nurse quickly wheeled me into the operating room. The operating room echoed with the cold hum of machines. The surgical table was so icy it raised goosebumps on my skin. The overhead light was blinding, the rhythmic beeping of the instruments grew sharper in my ears. The moment the anesthesiologist placed the mask over my face, panic and regret flooded my chest. My mind flashed to the 3rd year after my death. A bright, spacious villa. The table was filled with fragrant dishes and a birthday cake with candles shaped like 45. Elias, Monica, Angelica, and Lucas were all seated in front of it. My mother, Monica, smiled obsequiously. Elias, Mom made Sichuan dishes for you, your favorite. She had never cooked a single meal for me. She always said cooking was bad for her skin. 45-year-old Elias nodded with mature elegance. In the corner of the enormous living room, my framed memorial photo sat on a side table covered in dust. As if sensing something, Monica glanced toward my photo. But what she said was, Elias, now that you have finally moved into such a big villa, having Lara photo in the living room is unlucky. I will move it to the storage room on the 2nd floor later. Angelica smiled softly, her expression gentle. Elias neither agreed nor disagreed, simply adjusted the luxury watch on his wrist. Beneath the watch was the jarring scar from the knife. He did not want to see it anymore. Just then 15-year-old Lucas walked out holding a finished model airplane, smiling brightly. Dad, happy birthday. You look so cool in the magazine interview. Then he turned shyly toward my best friend Angelica. Auntie, congratulations on your engagement to Dad and on becoming Chengfeng's CFO. Outside, autumn rain drizzled endlessly. Inside, the warm yellow lights glowed softly. They looked like the perfect family in a public service commercial. Without me, they were doing even better. No regret, only unwillingness so deep it burned. With my next breath, tears slipped from the corners of my eyes, and then everything went dark. I stayed in the observation room for 2 hours before being discharged. My head was spinning, my vision blurry, and I walked out of the hospital slowly. Lara. Angelica, wearing a belted trench coat, her curls fluttering, hurried toward me with a bright smile. She was a striking, flamboyant beauty. People turned to look at her as she walked the short distance. Angelica affectionately held onto me, asking worriedly, "Did you come for a checkup? Why do you look so pale? Did you throw up?" When I found out I was pregnant, she was the first person I told. She was my best friend. When her stepmother beat her until bruises covered her face, it was me who brought her to my home to protect her. When she could only drink sugar water for breakfast, I shared my steamed buns with her. When my mother scolded me until I could not lift my head, she stood in front of me and said, "Lara is the kindest person in the world, 100 times better than what Auntie says." She was the first one who helped me resist Monica. After we started working, Angelica excelled professionally, and the boyfriends she chose were all rich or powerful. She knew very clearly what she wanted. With no parents backing her, her partner had to be someone who could help her. The hospital corridor was noisy and chaotic. Angelica, used to my silence, handed me a bag, smiling gently. "You said your morning sickness was bad. I asked a doctor of Chinese medicine I know to prepare something for you to help with nausea and boost your energy." My eyes stung and I bit down hard. She was the only one who truly cared about my health. Angelica took out tissues to wipe my tears, her tone helpless and doting. "Is it the pregnancy hormones? You are crying so much. I always said someone rigid like Elias is not right for you." I tugged at the corner of my lips in a smile. Yes, this year I was the one who brought her into Chengfeng as the finance manager for Elias. Now they were in a superior subordinate relationship. She waited until I stopped crying before saying, "Goodbye. I need to rush to meet Elias on a business trip. I will come see you when I am back." Then she turned and left, her silhouette elegant and carefree. A sour tightness swelled in my chest, so intense it felt like it might burst. She was so good to me now, so very good. Why did she betray me? When I discovered Elias loved someone else, I had only felt numb, like something inside me had died. But when I later learned that the person he loved was Angelica, I spiraled into severe depression and never recovered. Before I died, Angelica's last message was, "Lara, Elias and I have held back for so many years. It has been too hard. You are not suitable for him. Let us talk calmly, okay?" In that moment, I released the steering wheel. Then came the blinding headlights of the truck. I lifted my head toward the blazing spring sunlight and let out a soft laugh. I threw the bag into the trash, endured the pain in my abdomen, and took a long breath. It is okay. I have started over. I went to the newly rented apartment. Oliver truly was an exceptionally considerate businessman. In 3 days, he helped me find a suitable place, and he had a lawyer draft the divorce agreement for me. The new apartment was close to Jiang University, a black and white minimalist 2-bedroom unit, fully furnished, everything meticulously arranged. My few belongings had already been placed in appropriate spots. He had even arranged a very capable housekeeper for me. After drinking some of the shredded chicken porridge she had cooked, I went back to the bedroom. I changed into the newly bought silk loungewear. The fabric was as thin and light as breath, smoothing gently over my skin, so comfortable it felt unreal. After taking the antibiotics and painkillers, I curled up under the soft quilt and fell asleep, feeling safe for the first time in a a long while. I slept until the next afternoon. When I stepped into the living room, I saw 9-section prawns, sweet and sour ribs, and water shield soup set neatly on the table. I ate these calorie bombs, the ones Monica and Elias always criticized, slowly and calmly. The satisfaction of a full stomach made me realize how normal my body felt again without being controlled by pregnancy hormones. Normal, so this was what comfort felt like. I looked out the window. The sky was washed clean and blue, the river shimmered with light. I sat there and sunset arrived just as expected. My phone chimed ding-dong repeatedly. It was Elias. Laura, I saw the ultrasound photo. I knew you were just throwing a tantrum when you mentioned divorce. Now I really feel it. We have a child. The baby must be adorable. Let us name him Lucas, okay? Once the financing is finalized, I will make time to really be with you. The secretary still cannot reach you. Let him come by today to pick up the agreement, okay? There was another notification: your package has been delivered successfully. Before the surgery, I had intentionally printed the ultrasound photo in high resolution and mailed it to Elias. It was just a tiny bit of revenge. Elias was an orphan. Even if he did not love me, he would treasure this child. The pain of losing the baby should not be mine alone. Today, sunset was blazing, dyeing both the sky and river a vivid red. Everywhere I looked, vast, magnificent, dazzling. Suddenly, a burning pain shot through my abdomen. I hugged my knees tightly and curled up, biting down hard on them. My angel, my flesh and blood gone. My heart felt torn open. My vision blurred as tears brimmed with light and spilled one by one. The financing negotiations in Rome City went smoothly this time. Thanks to Angelica as well, she helped push the price down a bit. After everything ended, Angelica simply nodded at me and returned to her hotel alone. I had liked her for many years, but she never liked my background. Looking up, I saw a jacaranda tree on the roadside, its flower buds opening. The jacaranda blossoms were in full bloom, clusters of pale lavender flowers scattered among lush green leaves. It reminded me of a moment I shared with Laura. That day, another blind date of mine had failed. Even though my startup was beginning to show promise, women with better conditions still did not want to marry an orphan. Just then Laura came to see me. She stood under a jacaranda tree like this, looking at me with those quiet, gentle eyes. In that moment, I felt relief and gratitude. Laura had always been calm. She never judged my background, never despised the hardships of starting a business, never asked anything excessive of me. Smiling, I walked toward her and asked, Laura, should we give us a try? The summer wind was warm and restless. Her eyes widened, stunned, but she did not speak. My heart buzzed like cicadas, loud, anxious. If she said no, then there would be no one left in the world who would accept me. Until her tears slid down her cheeks, hanging on the dimples at the corners of her face. Only then did I finally relax completely, letting out a satisfied, soft laugh. You are crying. Then I will take that as a yes. Laura bent down, gripped the corner of my white shirt, covering her face as she cried and laughed at the same time. Her slender arms were so delicate, yet they felt like a harbor that could hold all of me. In front of her, I felt like a child. I could be myself without restraint, without worrying she would leave. I immersed myself in that state, sometimes comfortable and at ease, sometimes constantly testing her limits. Back at the hotel, I received the ultrasound photo Laura had mailed. I stood there staring at it for a long time. I could not believe it. That tiny black dot in the black and white image was our child. The longer I looked, the more my eyes reddened. I lost my parents at 18. I had nothing. Because of that, I suffered greatly, and the girl I loved most rejected me for it. But now I had a career, a family, and soon a child. I wiped the tears off the ultrasound photo. I thought of how Laura always smiled quietly at me, dimples deepening on her cheeks. If the baby inherited her dimples, it would certainly be adorable. My heart felt full to the brim. I took out my phone and sent Laura a message. For once I said something sweet. Laura was not the kind of woman who attracted me as a romantic partner, but she was the family who gave me a sense of safety. A good housekeeper was far more useful than a husband or a mother. She took meticulous care of my meals and daily routines, cooking different nourishing soups for me every day. In just a week, my body felt stronger, my cheeks had gained some color, and even my breathing had become steadier. During that time, however, Elias behaved completely differently from before, sending a lot of messages and photos. There were jacaranda blossoms, pictures from dinner gatherings, and even the hangover medicine he took after drinking. Laura, are you feeling unwell? You have not replied to any of my messages. The doctor told me your morning sickness is very severe. Do you want to be hospitalized for poor nutrition? If such small changes had happened a week earlier, I might not have been so resolute. I replied, Elias, when you come back, let us talk properly about the divorce. His phone call came immediately. Just then Oliver arrived to drop off the agreement, so I hung up. After all, talking about divorce face to face meant nothing. When Oliver saw me, his expression froze for a moment. Then his lips curved, gently warm as spring sunlight. Laura, you finally allowed yourself to put on a little weight. You have been so thin these last 2 years that a breeze could knock you over, especially recently. Now you look so much healthier. I pressed my lips into a small smile. I looked toward the full-length mirror in the living room. My pointed chin had softened into an oval face with a natural rosy tint. The dimples at my fuller cheeks were visible again. My once dull features now looked bright and lively. My limbs had become proportionate. My waist and abdomen had filled out, an indescribable sense of strength emanating from me. If I had returned to the moment before the car accident like this, I would have been strong enough to hold the steering wheel steady. I glanced at the agreement Oliver handed over. He was very generous. The price was a full 1/3 higher than I expected, $3 million. A clear sign of sincerity. My eyes shifted as I took in his appearance. Oliver had always looked clean and refined, dressing casually. Today he had styled his hair with gel and wore a low-row piano linen outfit with a faint but perfectly measured woody scent lingering around him, like a white peacock pretending not to show off its feathers. I gave him a small amused smile. Thank you. I really am much better. Oliver's eyelashes trembled slightly as he stared at me, lips parting as if about to speak. Before he could say anything, my phone rang sharply. My mother Monica had fainted and been hospitalized. Monica lay on the hospital bed, pale and frail. The doctor said she was slightly anemic, malnourished, and had gastric ulcers. This was the price of years of dieting to maintain her figure. The moment she saw me, she used all her remaining strength to shout, "Lara, how did you get this fat?" I gave her a cool glance. I simply ate 3 proper meals a day. She furrowed her perfectly microbladed eyebrows, her lips turning white. You look like you have been inflated with a pump. You cannot slack off just because you are pregnant. You will get fat like a pig. Monica became too agitated and instantly ran out of strength, her voice fading to a whisper. You should learn from me. Otherwise, how is Elias supposed to take you out? Destroying my own body just so a man not even successful yet could be proud to show me around. Well, she did love men. After I died, she even washed her hands to start cooking, serving Elias and his new wife. Did you hear me? She struggled to speak. Why are not you answering? Monica had always been that kind of woman, domineering yet sensitive. Always dissatisfied with me, yet always craving emotional nourishment from me. At an age when I still could not calculate 5 + 5, I had already learned to apologize without a reason. I am sorry, Mom, because Miss Monica always told me your father divorced me because you are a girl. Lara, if you do not behave, Mommy can leave you too. Since childhood, I would praise her while she dressed up, flatter her when she won awards, and serve her tea water noodles when she was sick. All for that thin trickle of affection that slipped through her fingertips. Thanks to Monica, lifelong emotional manipulation, I did not realize until after I died how badly Elias had treated me or how worthless my entire life had been. At this moment, Monica was breathing lightly, clearly exhausted. I sighed softly. Just eat on time. Otherwise, it is easy to get stomach cancer. Hearing the word stomach cancer, Monica's expression instantly flushed. Her voice was nothing but air as she hissed. Lara, are you cursing your own mother? Do you have no conscience? Now that you have grown wings, you do not want to take care of me anymore. She was the one who did not want me. Before I died with the last of my strength, I dialed Monica's number. At the end of my life, I did not think of my lover or my child. I just wanted to return to the beginning, to have my mother hold me again. But all I heard was the cold sound of an unanswered call. Monica had told me that if I was so useless I could not even recover from depression, then I should not contact her again. Blood surged up my throat. I could not breathe. Yet with my final breath I still said, Mom, it hurts. Cough, it hurts so much. Mom, do not forget to take your anti-stomach cancer medicine. Cough. I nodded indifferently to the hospital caregiver beside her and turned to leave. A hospital caregiver was enough to look after her. Monica struggled to sit up, panicking. Hey, do not you have a conscience? Who stayed unmarried all her life for you? I abruptly stopped and looked back at her. For a long time. So long it felt like I was seeing through 2 lifetimes. Then I smiled, relieved. Love cannot be forced, especially from parents. Elias should be back tomorrow. The next day I took leave and returned to Jiang University to continue working. I did not like this job Monica forced me to get, but I could not abandon the years of accumulated experience and resources. Because of my position at Jiang University, I had maintained many school enterprise connections for Elias, so he did not want a divorce either. There was always something shady about these resources. Inside my drawer was a stack of expense forms that needed processing. I had not processed them for a long time and did not intend to anymore. That day Elias called me repeatedly and I hung up each one. Just seeing his name appear made my heart sink. Elias messages. Lara, you moved out. Why is all your luggage gone? Why are you running around when you are pregnant? Your body cannot handle it. Stop using the baby and divorce as a joke, okay? I replied simply, Elias, I have already sent the divorce agreement to your email. Also, there is no baby anymore. He clearly became furious. Lara, must you threaten me like this? Are you being unreasonable? Ha! how high and mighty Elias was and how low and trivial Lara was. He declared confidently, "I will not divorce you. Everything was perfectly fine." I replied with equal confidence, "You will beg me." In less than 2 days, Elias' messages arrived as expected. "Why is the Dean expense reimbursement still pending? You sold your shares to Oliver." "Lara, we are husband and wife partners with shared interests. Why are you making things so difficult?" Husband and wife, did he mean I should willingly let myself be eaten down to the bone? I answered I only accepted Oliver's offer to buy 15% of the shares. "If you are willing to finalize the divorce immediately, I can transfer the remaining 5% to you at market price. That way you still have a chance to fight Oliver. You will not just be making wedding clothes for someone else." Elias did not reply. Back then, when he gambled everything on his startup, he was poor enough to be generous, giving me 20% of the company's shares. But as the company grew, as revenue increased exponentially, and as my deep love and obedience became obvious, Elias grew greedy. He wanted to swallow all the wealth without giving anything in return. Late at night, when everything was quiet, his message popped up on my screen. "Fine. I agree to the divorce." I knew it. Elias would never give up his career and fortune. As long as it was for his career and wealth, Elias became exceptionally efficient and competent. All the procedures were completed in one go. He had no time to care about me or the child at all. I found a female coach and began learning boxing and physical training after work. I read a large number of research papers. One major reason childbirth causes such severe physical damage is years of dieting and extremely low muscle mass. The rough impact and the nearly breathless heartbeat not only strengthened my body but also helped rebuild my sense of embodied certainty. I could move with swift steps, grow stronger, and become bold and confident. The Dean came looking for me several times regarding the expenses. When he cursed Elias in anger, I tactfully gave him all of her contact information. Monica did not know where I lived, so she came to my office to cause trouble. She grabbed the water cup on my desk and slammed it down. Her sharp index finger pointed at me as she rambled endlessly. "Lara, are you out of your mind? Divorce? Are you insane? Where are you going to find a husband as good as Elias?" Everyone on the entire floor peeked out to watch the drama. She even tried to tear up my notebook. But I was not a university student anymore. I would not let her smash my computer or rip my things again. I directly grabbed her and dragged her toward the pantry. Monica tried to resist and step back, but I was stronger now, and she was forced to be pulled forward little by little. Just then, someone suddenly pushed her from behind. Angelica appeared and, in perfect coordination with me, shoved Monica into the pantry. The cramped space. I stood up straight, spine firm, looking down at her with a cold gaze. She was shorter and more fragile than me. She could no longer threaten me with, "Lara, if you are not obedient, mommy can stop caring about you. The Dean reimbursement includes yours too. You do not want to risk getting demoted right before your retirement, do you? You are threatening me." In her stunned gaze, I lowered my eyes and smiled at her. "Monica, if you keep making a mess, when you are old I can choose not to care for you." Angelica quickly chimed in. "Yes, Auntie. No matter how good you are to Elias, whether they pull the plug someday, it will be Lara who decides that." Monica's face turned livid, her red lips trembling. Finally, she closed her eyes and held it back, not exploding into a scream like before. She had already lost her power over me. After sending Monica away, Angelica grinned. "I came today to tell you Chungfeng has changed. Oliver and Elias are fighting like crazy. I said I am divorced, and I did not keep the baby." She propped her chin up and stared at me in surprise. Then she grabbed my hand, her eyes curving like two bright moons. "Great. You finally did something selfish for once. Look at how terribly you were vomiting. What is so good about Elias? Is he worth suffering through pregnancy for?" I pressed my lips into a small smile. Angelica was in an exceptionally good mood. "Hey, did you start using your old pen name again? Of the 600,000 I invested in Elias back then, 500,000 came from novel royalties and copyright fees. The first novel I wrote in university at age 20 gained a bit of popularity, but Monica barged into my dorm, smashed my laptop, tore my manuscripts to shreds, and scolded me for indulging in such a shameful hobby. Later, Angelica secretly bought me a second-hand laptop. She told me, just keep writing in secret. I will lend you my ID card. You continue writing." But I did not dare. We talked until late at night. Her new boyfriend came to pick her up. She kissed my cheek. "Goodbye. Lara, this time you finally stood up for yourself." I smiled slightly. At least the Angelica of this life has not betrayed me. She does not love Elias when he has no money or power, then let Elias remain without money and power. My phone was filled with countless messages from Elias. My fingertip hovered over his name, trembling for a long time before I finally found the strength to select all and delete. The divorce and the transfer had drained his working capital. Oliver was pressing him step by step, and with financing ahead, he was truly stretched thin. He came to the university several times times looking for me, but the security office blocked him each time. On one hand, he played the pitiful card, saying that considering the timeline, could he please see the baby 4-dimensional ultrasound photos. On the other hand, he begged me to hurry up and cooperate in selling the house. The divorce agreement stated that the property must be divided equally. Without my consent, he could not sell the house to get the money. I did not intend to handle it. Let him wait. With the money I exchanged for the shares, I bought an apartment in the best part of the city. I moved out of the place Oliver had rented for me. During training, I also fell in love with trail running. I ran several city races, though I had not stepped onto a podium yet. The battle over Chungfeng shares finally ended at the end of summer. Oliver always smiled gently with that scholarly air, but he was far more ruthless than Elias. Originally pushed out by Elias, he still managed to make a comeback. Meanwhile, Elias not only lost control of Chungfeng, but also accumulated heavy debt and developed a terrible reputation among investment banks. When I heard the name Elias, my heart remained utterly calm. That was when I knew Elias had been abandoned by the world. The male lead of a tragedy novel without the aura of money and power had no charm whatsoever. I laughed, and at the same time I kept wiping away the tears that would not stop rubbing my cheeks raw and red, yet unable to stop. On this scorching afternoon, with cicadas screaming loudly, I was finally freed. The next time I saw Elias was after a physical training class. Across the street, he leaned against a railing, head lowered, smoking his work badge hanging around his neck. In his other hand, he was toying with the expensive fountain pen I once gave him. Oliver said that after Elias gambled everything and fell into debt, he could only jump to another company and do basic sales work now. Smoke curled between Elias' long fingers, and the linen shirt he wore was wrinkled and worn. His deep features were empty, his face covered with a gray layer of exhaustion and defeat. He used to never smoke or drink except during business dinners. Elias once said only the weak drown their sorrows. Now he had become the weak he once despised. Across the busy street, Elias suddenly froze in the haze and looked toward me in shock. I turned to leave, but he rushed through traffic without hesitation. Amid the screams and harsh honking around us, he ran straight to me. The once indifferent Elias stared at me, nervously grabbing my hand in panic, confirming I was alive. His lips trembled for a long time before curling into a smile of something lost and found. Lara, it is really you." I coldly pulled my hand away. His expression shifted to slight reproach. "Why have not you come to see me?" His eyes scanned me repeatedly as if he had rediscovered a precious treasure. But when he saw my toned abdomen under the training tank top, he froze. His shocked whisper, No, that is impossible. You are so kind, how could you give up the baby?" His shoulders suddenly shook, his eyes turning completely red, and tears overflowed pathetically. Hunched over, his voice dropped into a wounded cry. "You really did not keep him." The last note turned into a muffled sob. He actually believed I would never remove the baby. I calmly pried his hand off and smiled. "Elias, I told you before the divorce." He choked. "Lara, why so cruel? Why hurt the child?" Of course I had not wanted to hurt him. I had even thought about raising him alone, but I ultimately rejected the idea. I never blamed Lucas for loving his new mother because he was a good child. Whenever Elias' cruelty made me cry, Lucas was the one who comforted me. He cupped my face and kissed me, and after kissing me a few times his eyes would redden and he would cry with me. While crying, he would point outside the window, forcing a shaky smile. "Look, the moon is so bright, looks like Mom." Then he would wipe my tears and smile. Do not cry. Dad will not stay with you, I will. Mom, Dad does not love you, but I love you." Lucas never caused trouble. Like a tiny adult, he organized his studies and life perfectly. Even the antidepressants I took every day were reminders he gave me on time without fail. At 12, he rarely had a child innocence or laughter. He always said, "Mom, I am sorry. Wait until I grow up." What did he have to be sorry for? Lucas should not become another me. A child should not take on the role of a husband, loving, comforting, and praising his mother. A child should not lose the right to a carefree, innocent childhood. He should be in a happy home, growing up safe and unburdened. I could not let him suffer inside the love and hatred between Elias and me. I laughed casually at Elias. "Elias, have you ever considered that the reason I divorced you and did not keep the baby was simply because you are too pathetic?" Unhurriedly, I recited the raw, burning love words he once wrote. "Angelica, I will not cling to you anymore. Two people with nothing will only lick each other wounds. I will be with Lara. I will marry and have children as planned. Lara does not mind that I am an orphan and the daughter of a professor. Most importantly, she is your friend. As long as I can occasionally hear news about you, I will be satisfied." These were letters Elias hid in his study, love letters that spanned 7 years, but were never sent. I had once believed Elias fell in love with Angelica after years of working together. No, he was just the senior from the student club that Angelica and I mentioned in passing long ago. Elias had chased her back in university. After being rejected, he buried that love deep in his heart. Everything I once thought was kindness, equality, and affection he showed me was nothing more than the halo cast by his love for Angelica. His coldness after marriage, his calculations, his arrogance and selfishness, that was his true self. I had chosen wrong from the very beginning. He clutched my hand tightly, lips trembling as he begged. Lara, that is all in the past. I really love you. I gently twisted the knife into his heart and sneered. But Elias, you have lost everything. You are no longer the CEO of Changfeng. You do not even have a house. Is your love still worth anything? Elias' face turned ashen as he froze in place. Then he grabbed the hem of my shirt with one hand and, as if losing balance, half knelt on the ground. Covering his face with one hand, he burst into tears. Lara, are you abandoning me too? Ha! That cry, it was exactly the same as when I died. Except now I did not have to die. He would still regret, awaken, suffer, and love me. The setting sun bled across the sky, outlining his curled, defeated silhouette. I stepped away in large strides and left without the slightest reluctance. Behind me, screams erupted from the crowd. Call an ambulance, someone slit their wrist, there is so much blood. In the days that followed, everything seemed to go more and more smoothly. I submitted my application for a professional promotion. Although I failed, the leadership still approved of me. I traveled to all the cities I loved for trail running and even made it onto the podium a few times. My birthday was in late autumn, accompanied as always by drizzling autumn rain. That day I did not reject Monica's call. I answered it. Her voice had become soft and low. Laura, Mom has epithelial neoplasia. She did not need to explain. I already knew it was the stage right before early stomach cancer. I replied calmly. Then just follow the doctor treatment plan. Are not you going to come see Mom? I stayed silent. She began as always, speaking on her own, reminiscing on my birthday, about my father, the man I could not remember. Lara, Mom suffered through a whole day and night of pain to give birth to you. But when your father saw you, he left me immediately. She let out a small laugh. Do not know if it was because I looked too messy or because you were all wrinkled and scared him. I steadied myself on the phone and cut her off. Monica, he was just a bad man who wanted a son. He was awful. Silence filled the other end of the line. So long that I thought she had already hung up. Then a strange sobbing sound came. She was crying bitterly, as if something inside her had shattered into pieces. But in the end, she said, let us not contact each other anymore. I answered with a smile and blocked her. What happens when you are unloved? Nothing happens. Nothing at all. Thanks to running and boxing, now even my walking has a breeze to it. I am getting more professional in trail races and my rankings have become stable. At the same time, in the third year, I finally succeeded in my professional promotion. Angelica's new boyfriend was too rich and that made her drop her guard. She got played by a side chick. The man-wife stormed into Changfeng, making a huge scene. Oliver transferred Angelica to a branch office as finance manager. During that period, Angelica stayed home applying face masks, calm, poised, and not discouraged at all. Lara, I have finally learned my lesson. I will keep my boundaries tight from now on and never fall for it again. If someone refuses to wake up, their ending will always be the same. On a gentle summer night, I dreamed of Lucas. I had almost forgotten what he looked like. He sat under the moon smiling at me, his smile bright, his big eyes curved like a crescent. I tried to walk toward him, but I could not take a single step. When I woke up, I decided I wanted a child, and soon I had one. Without getting married. Sophia is a lovely daughter. Like Lucas, she inherited my dimples, small and sweet on her cheeks. But her personality is nothing like Lucas. She is willful, spoiled, and rebellious. But to me, that means she is smart, knows what she wants, and has her own mind. When she was 6, we went camping in the suburbs. She sat in a moon chair drinking milk, gazing up at the stars. I sat beside her typing on my laptop. The night wrapped around the distant mountains, calm and still dotted with starlight. She patted me, pointed at the moon, and giggled. The moon looks like Mommy, so bright and pretty. I froze. She pretended to be clever as she explained. Pretty is in Cantonese too, you know. My throat tightened. Sophia, how did you know? She thought for a moment, then casually swung her legs, dimples showing. I do not know, it just popped into my head schwa like that. Then she ran over and used her chubby hands to wipe my tears, pampering me as she coaxed. Do not cry, do not cry. Mommy, why are you crying? I love you. Yes. She loves me. The angel who loves me has come back to me. For a moment, I did not know what to do. I was crying and laughing all at once. Finally, I held her in my arms and sobbed softly. If gentle, well-behaved Lucas had grown up in love, he would have also become willful, spoiled, and rebellious. He would finally be able to be himself. Being loved means this person does not judge you. In this huge playground of life, they want you to roam freely and have fun.